Good afternoon, class. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, and we are going to get started with language arts. So you should have your Ultimate Language notebook open, or you should have a spare sheet of paper or a whiteboard that you can work on. Ideally, you want to be able to show your parents what you've been working on each day. That's a great way to stay accountable. So let's get started. Yesterday, we did our first Musical Mania. We did Cats. And then we also read, we went over the answers and we read chapters 16 and 17 in Out of My Mind. Today we are going to be doing another Musical Mania, but this time we're going to be focusing on Fiddler on the Roof. Before we get into the questions, I posted the song with a video for Fiddler on the Roof, and here are some things you need to do before we get started. Highlight the words you don't know with one color. Now, obviously, this is different than how we usually do Musical Mania in the classroom, because usually I'm there to help you look through those context clues. Now is the time where you have to do it by yourself. So see what context clues that you can use to try to figure out what those words mean. You can, of course, use a dictionary as a last resort, but I really want you trying to use those context clues. Then I want you to highlight any examples of figurative language that you see. You might only find one or two because we're still new to figurative language, and that's okay. But I want you to try to find at least one or two examples of figurative language. Remember, figurative language is something that is said and the author doesn't mean it to happen literally that way, right? So if you're saying, like, he stomped on my heart, right? Probably what the author doesn't mean is that they opened up your chest and stomped on your heart, right? They probably meant that you really hurt your feelings. So try to think about that. What is the author really trying to convey in each of these situations? And is there any situation where it's not conveying exactly what it's talking about? Figurative language takes practice, and I know you'll all be experts on it before long. So let's get started. It says the setting of a song is most likely A, a funeral, B, the sunset on a Russian day, C, a wedding, or D, a baptism. And if you see the video, this is pretty easy to decipher, but I want you to try to look back into that song. Is there any text evidence you can have? Not just the visual that's in the video, but is there any text evidence that you can find for any of these? Remember all of those great color coding strategies we've been working on all year. Number 2, read this phrase from the passage, one season following another, laden with happiness and tears. The word laden can be best defined in this context meaning A, spooned in, B, filled with, C, passing quickly, or D, answering. Remember the plug and chug method. You want to take each of those answers, plug them back into the question, and see which one works the best. 3, in this song, the words sunrise and sunset are used over and over again. This is most likely to show A, show how slowly time is moving for some of the characters. B, show how quickly time is moving for some of the characters. C, to show how in love some of the characters are. Or D, to question the events of the day that are occurring. Continuing with those questions, which of the choices is an adverb? And I want to remind you, lolly, 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 get your adverbs here, right? Is it canopy, wisdom, blossoming, or swiftly? Number 5, this song is most likely about A, parents who are happy that their daughter is getting married but can't believe time has passed so quickly. B, people looking at the sunrise and sunset and admiring the natural beauty of the earth. C, a couple that has had to get married in secret because their parents do not approve. D, how sad the characters are that they must now separate. So don't just use the video. I cannot emphasize that enough. I really want you to make sure that you're going back to the text, you're finding text evidence for each of these. Just like we do in class, just like we've done 100 times all year. Number 6, in the 5th stanza, the author has the characters sing the phrase, seedlings turn overnight to sunflowers. Hint, that might be some figurative language. Which of the following best describes why the author included this detail? A, the author wanted to use a metaphor to express that just like the seeds quickly turn to sunflowers, these parents' children have grown up. B, the author wants to establish the setting and give the audience a vivid image of sunflowers in the countryside. C, the author wants to draw attention to a miracle that has occurred in the story, sunflowers mysteriously growing in the middle of the night. Or D, the author wants to establish a metaphor between the sunflower and the beauty of the event that they're attending. Number 7, what is the next song in the musical likely going to be about? Where is the story going to go from here? That one you can use the video to kind of help you inform it, or you can just use text evidence. Like I do in classroom, I don't usually show you the video. So here are the answers. Now, I expect you to have answered these independently and only be here if you have paused the video, answered the questions, answered them as I was reading them, and now you're ready for the answers. So Number 1 is C, number 2 is B, number 3 is B, number 4 is D, number 5 is A, number 6 is A, number 7. The answers are going to vary, meaning that they're going to be different depending on how you interpreted the song, but they're at a wedding and this is a happy event, so you should predict that they're going to live in happiness or something like that after this. All right, so, let's talk about Out of My Mind. So reviewing the questions from yesterday, chapter 16. How do the people in Melody's class react to her Medi talk? Some, like Rose, are really nice and supportive, and they are able to make up and be friends because they can communicate. Others are rude. Others are just plain curious. Why are the students in Melody's inclusion classes surprised by her new voice? React to Claire's quote. I'm not trying to be mean and honest. It just never occurred to me that Melody had thoughts in her head. Reactions will vary. Lots of people will think she's a jerk. At various points in the book, people doubt her intellectual abilities, and this is the first time Melody is able to prove herself. How will the Medi talk in Elvira affect Melody's ability to make friends? With communication, Melody is able to talk and have real conversations with people and develop relationships. I think one of my favorite moments is when her aide walks in and she says, "Let's go shopping." Like, she has that humor for the first time in her life. Continued, chapter 17. What problems does Melody still have, even though life is much better with Elvira? She can't play at recess, she can't feed herself, and this is obviously still frustrating to her. How does Melody do in the Whiz Kids competition? How does the class react? Melody gets a perfect score. The class reacts by assuming that she is cheating. Does Melody want to be on the quiz team? Yes, however, she's very nervous about the implications, meaning like what that will mean for her and for her life, and the complications, meaning like people making fun of her. So questions for today. I posted the Out of My Mind video on Wiser Me, so make sure you listen. You definitely don't have to watch the video. Feel free to look at something else than my face reading the screen. Chapter 18, react to Melody's thoughts about her sister on page 157. She jumped. She stomped her feet. Then she sang the song again and again. She was really getting on my nerves. I wish that she would just shut up, talking all the time, walking all the time, jumping and bouncing and singing. Just quit it for one moment, please. Stop. Chapter 19. How does Melody now respond to the question, "What's wrong with you?" Do you think this question is rude? And is there a polite way to ask this question? Is kind of what I would add. Personal challenge. How would you do on the Whiz Kids Quiz Bowl team? Answer the questions asked to the Quiz Bowl contestants throughout the book in the space below. Number 1, which planet is closest to the sun? A, Venus, B, Earth, C, Mercury, D, Mars, E, Jupiter. How many sides are in a heptagon? You all should know this. A4, B6, C7, D8, E9. How long is one regular term for a U.S. representative? A, 1 year, B, 2 years, C, 3 years, D, 4 years, E, 6 years. Number 4, in what state would you find the Grand Canyon? A, California, B, Arizona, C, South Dakota, D, Mexico, E, Utah. What is the capital of Hungary? A, Accra, B, New Delhi, C, Berlin, D, Budapest. Number 6, which word means the study of words and their meanings? A, bibliography, B, archaeology, C, histology, D, lexicology. Number 7, which continent produces the largest crop of cacao beans, which give us chocolate? A, Africa, B, Asia, C, North America, D, South America. Number 8, which state provides the most milk? A, New York, B, Idaho, C, Utah, D, California. And if you read the book carefully, you might know that one. Number 9, the capital of Colombia is A, Brussels, B, Santiago, C, Bogota, or D, Jakarta. Number 10, gerontology is the study of the elderly, germs, or rocks. The small intestine of an average adult, if stretched out vertically, would measure about how long? A, 8 to 12 inches, B, 1 to 2 feet, C, 5 to 7 feet, or D, 20 to 23 feet. Number 12, what's the only rock that floats? A, obsidian, B, pumice, C, sandstone, D, marble. How many chromosomes does a human have? 12, 36, 46, or 115? What was the first state to allow women to vote? Ohio, California, Texas, Wyoming. Which of the following is a mammal? Cat, bird, turtle, or spider? All of you should know that one. Number 16, the average lifespan of an adult mayfly can range from 1 minute to 1 hour, 1 day to 1 week, 30 minutes to 1 day, 2 weeks to 1 month. The battles of Lexington and Concord in the American Revolutionary War were fought in which year? 1774, 1775, 1776, 1777. Number 18, in literature, the word oxymoron means which of the following? A, combination of contradictory words, B, the outcome of sequence of events, C, an implied reference to a literary or historical event, or D, symbolic story or narrative. Number 19, there are 2,357 paintings in an art museum. The museum has 124 rooms. Which is a reasonable estimate for the number of paintings in each room? A, 10, B, 20, C, 60, D, 200. Number 20, a weather event that has measured 6.5 on the Richter scale would be considered a tornado, hurricane, earthquake, or tsunami. What is a diplopia? What is diplopia? A, double vision, B, left-handedness, C, gum disease, or D, cancer. Number 22, what is the composer Rhapsody in Blue? Who is the composer of Rhapsody in Blue? A, Mozart, B, Gershwin, C, Copland, D, Beethoven. Number 23, the condition in which a person may be able to hear colors or visualize flowers when music is played is called synthesis, symbiosis, synesthesia, or symbolism. So what Melody is doing when she's hearing colors, when she's listening to songs, that's actually a real condition. Not that it affects you negatively in any way, it's just a different way that people experience music. Our nonfiction connection article is on Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, you can either read with me, you can feel free to pause this video, just read this independently on your own, you can choral read this with me, however works best for you. Stephen Hawking is a world-renowned physicist or someone who studies really small particles and how they work. He also developed important theories about how the Earth originally formed and has written books like A Brief History of Time explaining his theories to the world. Stephen grew up in England and was born in 1942. With parents who were also well educated, he became quickly interested in studying, especially math. He went to Oxford and later Cambridge, two very prestigious schools in England, to study chemistry and physics. While getting his PhD at Cambridge, he started having difficulties with his muscles and controlling his movements. Unknown to him or his family, he had a very serious condition called ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Now we call it Lou Gehrig's disease. This was like, if you remember, just pausing for a second, the Ice Bucket Challenge that came out a number of years ago. This was for ALS, for this disease that Stephen Hawking has. Symptoms of ALS often start when a person has trouble holding on to things, speaking, or trips frequently. Slow muscle control becomes harder and harder. ALS is sadly a fatal condition. Many people are trying to raise funds or awareness for ALS research, most recently with the Ice Bucket Challenge. With better and better care and more information, we might be able to eventually find a cure. Because of ALS, Stephen Hawking needs assistive technology to communicate and write down his ideas. He must also use a wheelchair or other help to get around and do day-to-day tasks. Like Melody, his brain is unaffected by his condition, and he continues to develop theories and publish books telling about his brilliant ideas. In spite of his disability, he is one of the most well-known scientists of modern times, contributing greatly to scientific theory. He has been married twice and has 3 children. He is a living example of not letting a disability get in the way of achieving great things. What is ALS? What is Stephen Hawking known for in the scientific community? Unfortunately, since I wrote that article, Stephen Hawking has passed away and is no longer a part of this world, which is a great tragedy because he really, really inspired a lot of people. He really also just was a brilliant physicist. I mean, really contributed to his field and is a hero for so many scientists and so many people who are suffering from disabilities. So I think he's an inspiration for me because whenever I think I can't do something, I look at him and I realize his limitations were so much greater, and yet he did so much more with what he was given. And so I think that's what we can take away, the moral, the theme from that article or from this story is don't let anything get in your way. Don't let any obstacle, don't let any hurdle, don't let any event get in the way of what you can achieve and what you're capable of doing. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today, and I will see you tomorrow.